Good morning, everyone. Just getting the little thing going here. A little bit of technical difficulties this morning. And yeah, so we're going to do a couple things. And I'm going to start with, what should I start with? I'm not really sure exactly what, but I don't know. Look at the size of this leek. I'm hoping it's organic. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, I'm not really sure what cooks faster, Brussels sprouts or leeks. And I do want the Brussels sprouts to be a little bit on the raw side, you know, just lightly sautéed. So I think I'll put those in second. So we're just going to I'm going to cut this in half because I kind of don't want this big around. I'm not used to this big of a leek. I'm like, oh my gosh. So, yeah, so we're going to do a little kind of an interesting Brussels sprout leek dish today. And it'll be like a warm salad kind of thing. And, oh my gosh. Okay, it's been quite the morning. I just cannot tell you. It has been quite the morning. Actually, I'm going to do the carrot next. And as I want that to be even more cooked than the Brussels sprouts. So I probably should have done that first, but I'm highly distracted this morning. And it's Thursday already. I can't believe it. Yeah, it's the time is just going so fast. So yeah, so we're going to do the leeks, we're going to do the Brussels sprouts, and kind of make it into a bit of a sesame gingery type Brussels sprout recipe. Excuse me, I've had so many people ask me what they can do for Brussels sprouts because it's hard for me to believe that so many people don't like them. You know, I think they're just fantastic, but you know, from what I'm understanding is people are just boiling them and then they don't like them. So so that is kind of a bit of a, I don't want to say, I mean, some people like them just straight up like that, and that's awesome because the flavor really is beautiful. But if you're just going to boil them, it is kind of plain. And if you don't like the taste to begin with, what you want to do is you want to add some sort of flavoring that actually makes it so that you like the Brussels sprouts. And you know, because they do take on a completely different flavor if you do it with a completely different flavor. Oh my gosh. Anyway, everything's washed. And yeah, so you do want to make sure that the flavors that you add are something that you enjoy. So typically, my regular Brussels sprout recipe that I use all the time, and I have quite a few videos, not quite a few on that particular recipe, but I have quite a few videos with Brussels sprouts. Last week we made a Brussels sprout salad, which was absolutely amazing. It's kind of like a very gentle, mild cabbage flavor when you eat it raw. So that's another way to eat it. And actually, of course, that would be the better way to eat it. If it's raw, it's going to have more nutritional value. And so you can do that. You can make it into a salad, which is really refreshing. It is kind of like a very mild cabbage flavor. Super nice and light. I just sliced it, and I'm trying to remember exactly what we put into the recipe, but if you want to find out, you can go to my YouTube or my Facebook and find out what we put into the Brussels sprout salad last week. So, hey, Minette, good morning. Morning, everybody. Nice to see everybody on here. So, oh, I don't know. I thought that was on. I'm super scattered this morning. I just had the craziest morning ever. Okay, so the Brussels sprouts, I was going to say, oh yeah, what I usually do typically, oh, oh, okay, well, yeah, good morning, Jane, and good morning, Darlene. I left you a message, Jane. I'm just a little off kilter today. And so anyways, usually what I do with the Brussels sprouts that I find super effective is to, actually I'm just going to cut these guys in half. Sometimes I have a hard time thinking and talking and cooking at the same time. Yeah, so with the Brussels sprouts, they have the vitamin B6. They've got potassium in them. They've got the K, because most of your like your cabbage, the green cabbage has vitamin K and vitamin C. The red cabbage has a lot more vitamin C than vitamin K, and your Brussels sprouts are kind of similarly from that family, so they have a lot of vitamin K as well. They're really good for your bones. They're really good for some of the research has been just having the oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of it, like anti-inflammatory. They have the anti-inflammatory properties, and some of the studies were talking about that they do have amounts of omega-3, which is surprising to me because that's a fat. And but anyway, that's what I read. So, you know, they just have so many great properties to them. They also have magnesium, like they're little powerhouses. If sometimes people will add cabbage to their smoothies, but the cabbage can be a little bit, you know, can be a little bit strong tasting in a smoothie because it has that, I think it's called a sulfuric acid. And so if you add the Brussels sprouts, it's milder in a smoothie. You can add a couple sprouts, you get all those vitamins and all other nutrition from the Brussels sprouts. So typically what I do, what's my favorite recipe with Brussels sprouts is like a maple syrup and cayenne and cranberries. And sometimes I add pecans. If you look on my Facebook, you'll probably, or my Instagram, you'll see all kinds of pictures of hundreds and hundreds of pictures of food. And you'll probably see quite a few with Brussels sprouts, and that's my favorite way is with the maple syrup. So we're going to switch it up a little bit today, and we're just going to make it more of a sesame ginger, and then adding the leeks, which, you know what, like for all these Brussels sprouts, I should add a little bit more leek, and I already cut him in half. I'm going to make it a little thicker this time because I can hardly see those leek pieces. So, there we go. So we're going to add that. We've got the carrots, and I'm just going to let that cook for a little bit. I always have such a hard time seeing what's going on in there because my chair's too low. Oh my God, okay. Maybe I should do something about that, but then my head would be out of the picture, which is okay too. Probably might be a good thing, actually. If you look at a lot of my YouTube videos, I have a couple hundred YouTube videos of fast, easy 15-minute meals, and most of them are just showing my hands and not my head. But ever since March with the whole COVID thing, people wanted to hang out in my kitchen virtually, and so the Facebook Live was born. And yeah, so we have a lot of fun every day at 11, and it's really super cool to have all of you hanging out with me and just enjoying a morning cooking something healthy or putting together something healthy for your health. Speaking of which, I'm going to set that there because I think that's more than enough for 2 people. And what we're going to do next, I think I have enough of everything in there. Okay, what we're going to do while this cooks down before we add the sauces is we're going to do something super simple and also very healthy as well. For this recipe, I'm just going to move these little scraps over here. You can use, if you want to use maple syrup, you can. Oh, that's strange. My video just went like this. Oh my God, gotta love it. So you can use maple syrup, but typically, historically, this recipe has been made with honey because of the antibacterial properties and antimicrobial, antifungal. I mean, honey is just a great preservative preservative, natural preservative. You know, yeah, so it has way too many good things to really not be using it for this particular thing. What you want to do is you want to make sure it's an ethically sourced honey. Luckily here locally, we have many beekeepers here who have, you know, take amazing care of their bees, and so we're really blessed to be able to have that. You want it non-pasteurized so that it has all those beneficial properties and antibacterial properties. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a herbal honey, and this is really a good thing to have on hand as we're entering the cold and various flu season. You want to have things like this that are easy to grab if you aren't feeling well or if you have a sore throat or whatever. And so this would be something that you could access. And so I'm just going to guess that's like as it slowly floats to the bottom. I don't know, half a cup. Let's go with half a cup because this will last forever and it can be used for different things. Last week, we made my basic salad dressing, which has all of the antiviral foods in it, you know, like onions and garlic and horseradish and honey and apple cider vinegar and all that kind of stuff. So the basic salad dressing is very much like this, and you can put that on salads or whatever. But this is more of a, like, you take a little bit out of a clean spoon and use it if you have a sore throat or something. The other thing that we made a while back, I think a week ago or something, were slippery elm lozenges, and the slippery elm lozenges we made, and they are super awesome for the throat too. Speaking of throat, I should have a cup of my Vitality tea. I've been drinking a lot of the Vitality tea because it has all of the immune system boosting herbs in it. The chakra tea is really, really good too, and it also has immune system herbs, but the chakra tea is more for the organs, you know, for like feeds the organs like the pancreas, the liver, the kidneys, spleen, thyroid, all that kind of thing. And so it works with the body a little bit differently than the Vitality tea. So what I'm adding to this honey here, give this a little stir. I don't want these guys too overcooked, so I'm going to shut this off now. And it just popped into my mind, like it usually does during the Facebook. I think, oh yeah, something else would be really good in this, and I just have so many ideas. Looking at the carrots here, what would be super yummy to add to this would be like a yam, or sweet potato would be really, really, would add that extra texture and flavor. The other thing, speaking of that, it leads me on to the other thing. Each thing leads me on to the other thing. You know how it is when you, hey, nice to see you, good morning. You know how it is when you walk into a room and you're going to do something, and then you see something else that needs to be done, and then you go to do that, and something else that needs to be done, and go to do that. And I'm totally one of those people. And so I'm like, oh, the carrots remind me of sweet potatoes, and the sweet potatoes remind me of squash, and all those flavors would be absolutely fantastic in this. And so feel free to use whatever you have. Don't feel limited, and certainly don't feel limited to follow my recipes. You know, just play with food, and when you play with the color too, pay attention to the color. It makes it super more fun. Okay, so back to the honey here. I am going to add turmeric to this. This is going to be, I'm going to use a clean knife. This is going to be a medicinal honey, and so we're adding turmeric for the anti-inflammatory properties in here. And so I'm just going to cut the edges a bit because I want it to be exposed, even though it will, just going to slice that up even more. The honey will absorb the properties from the turmeric into the honey. So we're just going to get that in there. So this has the turmeric, which has the curcumin and the anti-inflammatory properties. And then we're going to add some garlic, of course. because the garlic has the anti-inflammatory properties too, as well as being antiviral, antimicrobial, antifungal. Did I say anti-inflammatory? I mean, the garlic just does everything. So we're gonna take the garlic and add that as well. So I did finally get my garlic in, and I just learned, speaking of garlic and gardening, I just learned from Alexandra that I need to bring my lemongrass plant in, and because it doesn't stay out all winter. I didn't know that. I thought it was kind of a grass, and it would actually, I'm going to slice this for more surface to connect with the honey. Yeah, so your lemongrass needs to be brought in to overwinter, which I didn't know, so I'll do that. So there's the garlic. I'm going to add extra, whoops, don't want to miss these little guys. Yeah, I've been definitely smelling like garlic lately. Just making sure I get my share every day of the fresh, especially since I grew my own this year. It's so super awesome. And super easy to do. Like, everyone really should be growing garlic because it's so crazy easy to do. Okay, so we're going to put him in there. And did I do the ginger? No, we're going to do the ginger as well. So I'm going to do it super thin so that it absorbs more of the qualities. Make sure you don't cut yourself there. Speaking to myself. Okay, so we're just going to put all this together, and over time, it'll probably, if you put it in a warm place, you know, like on the top of the fridge or something where it's a little bit warmer, it'll absorb these flavors and properties, and then you can just taste it. So, you know, I am a terrible one for measurements, and let me just try and get all this mixed in here. I'm a terrible one for measurements, so if you taste it and it's quite strong with everything, you can always add more honey. And if it's not strong enough, you can add more of whatever it is that isn't strong, like the garlic and the ginger and the turmeric. So you just want to make sure that that's covered. What I might do now, because it's this, you know, it all depends on the honey that you get and where it's from. I'm going to save these 2 spoons because they are like gold. This is gold. You don't want to throw that away. But I am going to get a brand new spoon and add just a little bit more to make sure it's covered. Yeah, so this is something that you can take if you feel like any kind of sore throat or anything like that going on. So we'll just add a little bit more, make sure that's covered. Just gonna put the lid on here, make sure everything is sealed. Okay, so yeah, so that is the turmeric, ginger, garlic, honey, and I should actually push it to the side for the picture so you can see it. I don't know, it doesn't look like much, but anyways, there it is. So that is your fantastic little antiviral for today. Things that you can use in the kitchen that are really helpful, that are really, hey Terry, hi, good morning. Something else that, I mean, you may not have the turmeric, and if you don't, that's okay, but if you have the garlic and the ginger, which everyone should have really this winter, especially for what's going on now, just stick it in there, and then you have your own little sore throat medicine. So that's that, and now we'll go back to this because I have shut it off. It's just tender, crisp, barely sauteed or warmed up, you know, so it's still going to have a nice crunch and a nice flavor, and we're going to add some of the, move this over here, we're going to add a little bit of the garlic granules, minced. Sorry, the granules are smaller. I always get so confused on that. It's so funny. The granules are granulated garlic, which is what I usually use. This is actually dried minced garlic, which is so amazing. If you can get some, it just adds such a flavor and a really cool texture too, because when it hits the when it hits the moisture in the food, it kind of rehydrates, right? Because it's dehydrated. And so that is just super awesome. And now here we have the granulated garlic, which is just the little garlic granules. So so we're adding that. We're going to add some pepper, black pepper to this as well. And oh, and you know what? I totally forgot. But it's okay. You know, when you forget something, there's always a way of fixing it. Okay, I forgot to put the ginger in here. You know, if you don't have fresh ginger, you can use a, which knife was the ginger? Okay. You can use a powdered ginger if you want, but I'm going to use this one. I'm just going to put it right in the bottom in the middle so that can start grabbing some of the flavor, and turn that up just for a bit, just to open up the cells and bring that aroma and that flavor into the Brussels. So we're adding that. I'm going to leave that alone just for a second till it starts to warm up. And come on, you guys, hurry up. Oh my God. Okay, so what we're going to add here while I'm impatiently waiting, we're going to add some sesame oil to this. We're going to add a little bit of tamari. If you want to, you could add a little bit of Bragg's liquid aminos as well, or Bragg's soy sauce. They've kind of changed the name from the liquid aminos. I'm so used to saying that for the last 20 years that I tend to forget that they've changed the name. Okay, I can hear this sizzling, so I'm just gonna turn it over. Turn the little ginger over. Okay, and it goes there. And so while we're waiting, I can sprinkle a little bit of the sesame oil in, and it is just a few drops here. The sesame oil is super strong, so you don't need too much, 5 or 6 drops, and again, to your taste, whatever it is. If you love sesame oil, I mean, I love it a lot. My husband doesn't love it as much, so I kind of have to, you know, balance it a bit, but it is so crazy awesome good. And I am going to add just a little bit of maple syrup, so I'll put this around the edge while I'm waiting for that ginger to warm up. And not a lot, just a little bit to bring out that, you know, we're making kind of like a bit of a sweet sesame garlic ginger, which reminds me, I used all the garlic in my in my honey. Okay, so this is cooking enough. I'm going to turn that off. And grab the little spoon here, wiggle these guys around. You know what? I'm going to add just a tiny bit of water to make sure that nothing scorches. And give it another stir. Okay, so that ginger's looking good. Okay, we're going to mix this together. Add a little bit of the Tamari, which is it's a gluten-free soy sauce. Now, I don't know if all soy sauces have gluten. I don't really know why it says gluten-free soy sauce, but I do know Tamari is a better brand than most, and most people who are into health will use Tamari rather than a regular soy sauce. I think it has a lower salt content. That's the word I'm looking for. So you can see this is, oh my gosh, I wish you could smell it. You can really smell the sesame and the ginger. I get those ginger guys back on the bottom where they can absorb more. And I'm going to add some heat to it too. I really do like the heat. And I love using cayenne. I usually use cayenne with you guys because I use a lot of it. But in this case, just for a little bit of color and visual appeal, we're going to add a few chili peppers just because that's going to look really cool. And that'll add the heat as well. So, okay, so we didn't add any Celtic sea salt yet. Okay, the other thing you can do, which we did earlier this week, was we used seaweeds. You could put a seaweed in there if you want to. You know, it helps to increase the trace minerals, and it provides so much natural iodine, really good for the thyroid and that kind of thing. But I think I put all the seaweed away yesterday. Did I? I'm pretty sure that I did. No, I have some dulse flakes. Dulse. D-U-L-S-E. And so this is a type of seaweed as well, with all the beneficial properties and benefits of the seaweed. The iodine feeds the thyroid, really good for you. And this particular dulse is super mild. It's not as seaweed tasting. So, and that's going to add visual too. So if you really do have a thyroid, underactive thyroid, which seems to be common, then there are many seaweed supplements that you can buy that help you to balance your thyroid. And so yeah, so that's looking really good. I have that off. And oh, that was the other thing. Yes, I did mention I wanted to put actual garlic in there. All my little stuff. I have if you guys could see that side of the camera, you would just laugh your face off because there's just so much stuff on this table that I use so often. And oh, some soy sauce has wheat in it. Okay, good to know. Manek, thanks for that. I had not paid attention to that. I usually am pretty gluten-free, but I don't have any issues with it, so I don't always check the products. I just try and stay away from the gluten that is commonly found. Okay, so here's our beautiful garlic here. So we're just gonna, it wants to stick all together. Okay. And, you know, make sure that you taste things to see if you need to add more of whatever. I'm always hesitant to taste things while I'm doing the Facebook Live because quite often it will, you know, if I inhale the steam or something, it'll make me cough. But this looks so fabulous. I really am, yeah, I can't help myself. I really wish those were yams instead of carrots. I think it would just add so much more flavor. But I mean, you could always do that after too, right? Okay, so I'm just looking at the sesame seeds. I'll smell it. Oh my gosh. Wow, that smells amazing. Do I dare taste it before I let you guys go? Okay, yet another clean spoon, just to see if it needs more. I'm so tempted to add more sesame oil. I'll just taste the juice. Wow. That is so totally awesome. That's amazing. Yeah, so, and that's why I have so much stuff on my table, is I just see things and think of things, and it just goes from one thing to another, to another, to another. And I've never made this before, and then it looks and tastes absolutely amazing. So yeah, have fun with that. And we'll see you guys tomorrow at 11. And take care. Yeah, so let me know in the comments what you want me to do, try out. I have a couple, I've been kind of working on dessert recipes, so so we'll see how far I get with that, and let me know what else you'd like to learn or share or know about or have me experiment with, so that I can do it before you don't. Before you do. Oh my gosh. Okay, see you tomorrow at 11. Check out my Instagram and YouTube.